Welcome to a new time-lapse video. This one being of another one for the ChipperChapChat-JAMS. I'm doing one for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System now. The game, which you probably, I'm not sure if you're going to be familiar with. It's very old school. It's a bit obscure too. And it's one that I'd wish they'd redo now. Is King of the Monsters 2. If you want, you can just type that in YouTube and actually check some gameplay. It's a side-scroller, beat-em-up, and to be honest, I would love more beat-em-up games in general, but that one in particular, where you can be, obviously, a giant monster or this giant hero type, where you stop alien invaders, that's rad. Give me that in a movie. But I streamed the first portion on Twitch, and the later half I just recorded because I wanted to watch something in the background, so it was too distracting. Plus I took a bit of a break on between flats and colors, I took a break between flats and colors and also between line art and flats. Flats mainly is when I stopped streamings because, I don't know, something about watching color flatting happen is not very entertaining at all. So yeah, I decided to do that one offline, but I recorded it. As you can see, I did some, it may not look entirely like the cover. I was going off of primarily, like, I stuck close to which characters look like which, obviously, but what I did was I looked up some of the sprites and based it off more though, and reinterpreted those more. So like this main dragon, this main creature here, this giant lizard creature is my interpretation of the one that they designed. But yeah, I really like this game. It probably isn't that fun to play now, to be honest, but I think a game like it would be great. Like a new property even, or like a game based on even any property that currently exists. They can do anything at this point, but I would love just a remake of this game. I think it'd be pretty rad. I kind of went more in on this piece than I expected as well. I wasn't planning on going as detailed as you can see. I mean, sure, to some people this might not be detailed, but to me this is a lot more, there's a lot more line work going on this than they normally would. I should have done it in a more simplified style. So I think I'm going to do one more for the Genesis, and I think that one I will do in a more simplified style. Something akin to what I do on RandomVeus. And plus I think it'd allow me to prepare a little bit for RandomVeus as well, which is what I'm going to be working on very soon. I keep saying that, but I really want to finish all the tasks that I have currently before I start anything new. But I mean, yeah, look at this guy, superhero guy, giant. He's probably like, I don't know, a guy that becomes gigantic. That would be so cool. Do that. Make a movie of that. Make it cheesy. Make it fun. I'd watch it. I don't know if many would, or many would, agree to it, but I think it'd be pretty wicked. I think all up this piece took maybe six hours and a bit. Again, I think it only took this long because I went in a lot harder than I normally would. I really should have held myself back, but I got too into the piece and lost track of time, which often happens. So yeah, I think I have to make a specific note at the start of the next one to go a little more simple. But yeah, looking at the sprite art of this game, some of the designs are pretty wicked, and looking at the original artwork, obviously, it's quite hilarious because it's so... It's a little cheesy. Maybe I should have like had a picture-in-picture or something for this, but I'm not even sure how to do that. And just all the details that had to be flattened, I just was not fun. But, you know, I don't like flatting. That's kind of my least favorite thing. As I've said multiple times. It's usually when I get to the highlights and shadow stages when I enjoy the most. Oh, here, I forgot. I got some of the initial flats wrong and it was off by a couple of pixels, and with this method of coloring, if you're off by a couple of pixels, it can throw an entire piece off, at least for me. So I had to do a bit of correcting there, and that was not fun. That's what happens, I guess, when you're distracted, partially distracted and trying to work on something. So it's, you know, it's the good, you know, it's the good and bad of working with distractions, which I actually prefer anyways. Adding some extra details now, which I tend to do. Just little things which probably go unnoticed, but really add to the piece. On that, I added a primary shadow first, and then like a glowing shadow, just to have an inner glow. Basically, allow an inner glow, really. Because the I'm using Clip Studio Paint Pro, and unlike other programs like Photoshop, they don't have the greatest layer effect settings. So layer effects, like Photoshop had stuff like outer glow and inner glow, and like just various effects that you can apply to the layer itself. Whereas here, I think you're quite limited to just bordering, which is very limited. And they have a nice one, which is the, I think, like zip tone. And that's quite a nice feature that I often use for backgrounds. I didn't use on this piece, but it's one that Photoshop doesn't really have. But, you know, you work with what's available and you make the best of what you've got. So, trying to get myself more familiar with the program, I just work with what I got. And I think it pays off enough. Coloring this piece, I was a little bit more, while it was still detailed, I felt a little bit more loose. As with the cell shades, like I decided to go, like, do some almost spotlighting. Like the character in the back, both characters in the back, they're not just fully lit up. Character up in the front, this demon with the horn thing. He's like primarily rim lit. And even the two main characters, it's kind of close range coloring, somewhat. I don't even know how to describe it. All I know is that I know what I want to achieve, and I try to achieve it. We're up to the secondary shadows and rim lighting. Again, all these little details which I probably could have avoided, but because I didn't really know what I was going to do, I didn't really go into it with a super clear cut. My automatic is to just kind of go all in, which I did. But, you know, what's done is done, and I think it came out nice enough. It's a shame that I just have to do it for every single character, though. Yep, here I'm changing extra tones. Oh, and here I forgot. I forgot some certain details, so I'm adding some more now. Finally, now I get to highlight the two main characters. Why'd I save them for last? Maybe if I did them first, I would have gotten a better idea of how to tackle it and probably went even more simple than this. But what's done is done. And it was a fun piece. But yeah, more games like this, I would love it. I would love more games of that era. There was so many side-scroll beat-em-ups. That was kind of my thing back in the day. If I play games, which I don't do often anymore, it would be those kinds of games. Just working in a group or just even working solo. Just going through an adventure. Dude trying to kill you, beat you up, you just have to fight back. I don't know, it's so simple. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of them, and those are my favorite kinds of games. So more of them would be nice. But yeah, that's almost a retro style game at this point. Yeah, but looking at this now, yeah, there was just more than I really should have done. Little details are probably gonna go unnoticed, and I'm so used to that at this point. But you know, in the end, it's worth it. You do it for you, and you have fun while doing it, and that's the goal, really. Try to find a process that also is more efficient. Which I can't really speak on that because I don't know how efficient this is, but usually when doing the background, sometimes I do the background first, but with pieces like this, I do the background last because why bother getting into the detail of the areas that are going to be covered by the characters anyway. And so yeah, thank you for joining. Info on the jam in the description below.